Good morning, everyone. In today's class, we will learn about HTML control in Power Apps and also implementing confirmation popups. Last but not least, we will also learn reusable code components. The first thing is implementing HTML control. What is this HTML control and how does this HTML control helps us? Most of the times user come up with their own uh, UI design, right? So user does not come up with a standard look and feel. When it comes to user design, user might usually when I just open a Windows Word document and say like this sample text, and if I wanted to change its font, I can change the font to whatever the font I want. Right now, if I want to just increase the font, I can increase now. uh, the time I move onto it, the text style is getting changed. So user might ask you to change the font of the text to a, the way he wanted. Nobody likes to see a standard Calibri text. Usually, when you say something, Calibri is the one which you usually see, which is a plain notation. But if you want to implement script empty, how do you implement that in Power Apps? When you add a label onto screen, as a heading, and if you see, all you have is only these fonts. You don't have brush script empty, isn't it? You don't have that. But how do you add that into your screen to meet user requirement to give the custom fonts? To do that, you have something called HTML text. HTML text supports the custom fonts. If you notice, it has the script, HTML script, right? Now go to W3 schools. Now if you come here, you have various options. You could decorate your text. Okay, let me say directly. When you come here, you have something called the font style, right? Now if you click on this, it shows you how to use that. Just copy this straight away, come onto your Power App, and just say that. Now all what you need to do is that and increase the font size to say like 18 or so. When you notice, it increased the entire font for the entire HTML. But if you want to increase the font size for only this particular text, what you could do is Do you notice that? So for the entire out of the entire text, you want to highlight that particular word, you need to use the HTML tag. Now, if you notice in the entire out of text, that particular string is getting highlighted. Now, just copy the style name from Word document, which is as simple as that. See that? Now I can format my text like the way I want as per the user requirement, isn't it? And if I don't want my text to be bold, I can always remove my bold B tag. It becomes the simple text. Looks like it is maximum can handle only 25 or so. Okay, that is how you can make your users requirement happy. Now this way I can implement the text like the way I want, especially when you are showing the error messages. Now this one you wanted to highlight the color with red, and you want to highlight with underline. Basically your entire HTML tagging you could use here. So to get the help on the HTML tag, the best site I could see is W3 Schools. Go to W3 Schools. You could use whatever the tag you want. And if you say I, it becomes italic. Since it is by default italic, it is you will not be able to see that. But if you just add the same thing here, you see that entire text is italic now. Now, if I just increase this here, I can increase the font size like the way I want. And if I remove this size here, since that font type cannot support more than that size, it is not getting increased. For say, if I just want to use this font, okay. Yeah, looks like that's the max we could use. So it depends on the font, it can render. Any questions? Most of the times we use while we are creating landing pages, while we are creating headings, we use the HTML tagging. Just follow the video which I have explained in HTML custom fonts in the channel. You will understand more and try to implement that as part of your project or your apps so that your app looks more and more elegant. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
This is all about HTML control, which usually you would see under text and HTML text. The next one is implementing confirmation windows. What is that and why do we need it? In IT, when we are implementing galleries and implementing delete delete option, when we are implementing delete, it is always has to be implemented with confirmation before you delete, because when you click on delete you are deleting the record. Once you delete the record, user would not be able to will not be able to get it back. So you should always ask for the confirmation before you delete that particular record. So how do we implement that? Is there any control which says as a pop-up? Absolutely no. But we need to implement a confirmation to the user stating that, hey, you are about to delete record ID 4. Are you sure you want to delete it? Because it is a confirmation, it is always expected to happen accidental clicks. So when there are accidental clicks, we as a developer has to provide the confirmation before you delete that text. So now how do you implement that is, when you are implementing, you need to first add a rectangle on the screen, because when I am deleting one record, I need to prevent user operating on other options. Now first thing what I did, I have added a rectangle, that is a mask, I call it as, and click on the fill color, go to custom and decrease the aperture. I repeat, decrease the aperture. You can decrease the aperture by changing this value, or you can also mellow down here. So when you mellow down, if you notice, it is coming like that. Now just make it to color ash color, or else you can even select here and pull it down to here. Now if you notice, the entire screen has got a glassy finishing, so that user can read what is there on their screen behind this confirmation window, isn't it? Now I got a rectangle. Now if you go back and see, I cannot select anything because the control rectangle is added as a mask on top of each and every control on the screen, which means that I am able to prevent user not selecting any other operation or any other control on the screen. Okay, fine. Now I need to implement something called confirmation. Just to implement the better look and feel, I'm just using button. Button is just to show the better look and feel. Now I just disable the border for the button, and if you notice, I want the curved pop-up. So what I use this, if you don't want curved pop-up, you can as well use a rectangle. It is always depends on the user, but the flexibility I will be getting when I use the board button is, if user changes their mind tomorrow, no Krishna, it is not so great, implement with curved. I can come here, I can change the border radius to 25, so it automatically shows me a curved edge. But if I add a rectangle rather than as a button, it is hard for me to change the border style, because rectangle doesn't come with the border radius option. Now I want to make this screen, sorry, this pop-up center aligned. How I can do that is, go to view, sorry, go to home, align, align center, and also align middle, so it exactly makes this control right in center of the screen. Now I don't want my button to have a text, because I don't care about what text I want to, because I'm going to use this as a background, and fill this one with a white color, because I want to show it as a confirmation window, and ensure that hover formula is removed, and make it as transparent, so that the color is zero, no color and no aperture, and also hover text color is also transparent, I don't have any text, and pressed color is white color, whatever the color the button is filled up. So now my uh, pop-up window size got generated. All I wanted to give here is a line on the top to separate my heading of the confirmation window. So one moment, a horizontal line I'll take and put it over here, and the height of that line is 1. So I'll get a, oh my bad, this one is not gonna work. So I'll add a rectangle, and make the height of the rectangle to 1. So there you go. I got a separated line, and I'll just say 285. So it'll come little down. Now I have to change the fill color of this to probably ash color. Nice. Let me put it down a little further, and I want to give a heading here. So I'm just using HTML text, and I want to make it center aligned. Uh, delete confirmation, and I don't need this, and this has to be in black, and the font size I want to make it as 21. So eventually I need to increase the size, and followed by, now I want to give my custom styling. Maybe let me use the custom style as, why it is not coming. Oh my bad, font family I had to provide. And let me increase a little more. Okay, go here, align center, and I play this. I got delete confirmation properly. Now I need to say some message stating that you are about to delete device with the selected item ID, and you need to say yes or no, isn't it? So then user, when user says yes or no, depending on the user confirmation, I should delete that. If user says no, I should not delete it. If user says yes, I should delete that record. Students, are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Now I'll have to add one simple label stating that you are about to delete the device details of the record ID equal to. Now, what I have to say? Gallery all items dot selected dot ID. You see that? Now, then I'll have to say are you sure for deleting this record? Let's make this to center aligned so user will know what record they are deleting. They're about to delete. Now, if I play that, I can see that you are about to delete the device details of the record ID 4. Are you sure for deleting this record? Now, I have to provide yes or no. I'll have to add two more buttons. One is yes, and the other one is no. Okay. Yes should always has to be in red color because it is deleting the data. So I just say it's red, and so when I come here, user will also know. Oh wait, come on, what's happening now? Green is always no because I'm retaining the data back to database. Correct. Now what I have to do, on selection of this, again on the press, fill color has to be red. On press, fill color of this button has to be green. Now on button selection, on select of this button, what I have to do, remove that selected record. Now remove if device order data id equal to, what I have to present, gallery dot selected dot id, isn't it? Gallery all items dot selected dot id. So if you monitor closely what I am doing, when I am doing, I am deleting that record only when user says yes. But what if user says no? I have to close this confirmation window and make the user selection deselect. Yes or no? So in order to do that, I have to just select all the controls which are related to this confirmation. Okay, up to here, right? One rectangle for the masking and the button for the white background and rectangle for the line and HTML text for the heading and label is for the message and button 1, button 4 and button 4 underscore 1 are for these buttons. Now make them into group and just say grp confirmation uh, dialog. This has to be turned off. How we will turn off? With the help of visible property, right? Add a lware show confirmation window or confirmation dialog. DLC. Copy this. This one, when we have to make it on and off, is when the user click on the delete icon. Copy, comment that, and what we have to do, we have to say this as update context. I'm just setting my the local variable as true. So when I say that as true, then that will show up. See that? That has to go off when user says no, isn't it? Update context local variable as false. Now see what happens when I click on no. As similarly, when I select yes, it has to delete the record, and it also had to hide the confirmation window. I don't need the confirmation window to show any further, right? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
Once
sir.
the record is deleted, I don't want the user to see this confirmation window any further. Also, just for further enhancement, I'm just adding one more cancel button here, making the button height and width as 45 to make it better look, probably 40 and 40. Yeah, much better. And make it as black in color. And this one also should work as similar to your update context, isn't it? But when you notice this icon is outside your group, so it has to that should also be part of this group. If not, see what happens. Everything will go off, but this cancel will remain back. So it has to be added to the group. So to do that, again, just name this one and say it as group. Beauty is it will restructure the entire items into one group. Say that, and the visibility of this group has to be what elwhere show confirmation window. Now see what happens. I lost this cancel button also got hidden, right? Any questions?
No, sir.
Shall we test the functionality now? Now this one, just go here to edit. 1 minute. Did you guys notice that when I click on edit, it is coming with a border around it, which is ugly, right? How I can avoid that is select that pencil icon, come to border and say border none. Though the borders is 0, it shows a border around it. Now, if I just click on that, no more border business for the icons. All the icons will come up with that option. So when you add an icon in screen, you should explicitly go on to border property and say the border style to none. Then only it will release or it will not render that icon with the border on the screen. Now when I click on this, let's say add new, I don't want to lose my data, so what I'm just adding this. Manufacturer is Lenovo, manufacturer ID is 45, and manufacturer as Lenovo, and see if you guys have any question, shoot here so that we can easily address before we go any further. Now I'll just say submit. And now if I just select Lenovo and go all the way down, I could see that looks like I also made same mistake like Sai Chaitanya. So this, now if I click on delete, I should get rid of 103. Now click on yes. Here it is. No more 103 record on my database. If I go to SharePoint list, device order data, go under ID large to smaller. I don't have that. This is how I can make my user experience more interactive and ensure that user is not making any accidental deletions on the data. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, let's enhance the same experience a little further. What does that mean is if I just say delete, this text is a static text I am presenting here, right? Now, if I want to make the text a dynamic text, what do you mean by dynamic text? If I'm clicking on edit, also I want to show a confirmation before I move the user onto the next screen. Okay, example I'm giving. Same window I want to use two for two operations. Okay, for edit also I want to take further confirmation. In real time we don't do that, but I want to show you how I can make the same confirmation pop up in more dynamic way. Then we will go on to components. Okay, now next step is I want to implement the same confirmation window while I am doing the edit also. How I can do that is same, I have to show the confirmation where show confirmation to true. So that will also show the confirmation, but it is navigating because on the pencil I'm showing a confirmation also I am navigating it out. I had to comment this, isn't it? Like the way how we have commented for delete. But I need to change the text. The text has to be in such a way that, hey, you're about to edit the selected item, whatever it is, right? So that has to be passed to the confirmation window. Similarly, we have to take one more variable as alware, um, confirmation message as you are about to change the record id equal to this item dot id dot id for you sure for editing. Okay, this text I can right away associate it to my label, right? This when I come onto label, this label I don't need it here. Rather, I'll use that label. So that local variable. That way, what happens is I'm just sending a dynamic text. I copy the same text and put it onto my delete also. You're about to delete the record. Now see what happens. This time it says like, are you're about to delete this record, right? Now if I say this, you're about to change, isn't it? Are you guys able to see that text dynamically coming?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, I can also provide a confirmation heading as edit confirmation. Here I'll say rather as confirmation message heading. Copy that. In fact, copy this, come here and make it this confirmation heading as delete confirmation. This one has to go on to what? The heading, right? This HTML text go here. Here, what I will have to do, I'll have to just append this here in this. Now, if I just click on delete, it is delete confirmation. If I click on edit, it is edit confirmation. Are you guys able to follow me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
so far we are able to change the headings and message. All I need to change now is the behavior I need to change. How I can change the behavior is again one more local variable which says that what is the operation. Confirm OPR operation. This one is edit, and similarly I go on to delete. This one is delete, isn't it? Now on the confirmation I have to change the behavior depends on my local variable text, isn't it? Come here on the button on select. If I want to remove, then I need to say if alware confirmation operation equal to delete, then only remove it. If not, I need to navigate it, isn't it? What is the operation we do on this is we need to navigate it. Navigate it onto the respective screen, which is this, and followed by that. Here, my problem is I cannot use this item because it is not pointing on top of gallery. Here, what I had to say is gallery all items dot selected. That will solve my problem because I am not on gallery, so this item will not be a good option to resolve. Okay, so when I do this, see what happens. Now play the app, click on pencil, it is telling me that edit, and I click on S, it is going there. Come here. So this, do you notice that it is coming as by default? Because the local variable, whatever we are validating, is turned to true when I click on pencil or trash icon. This has to set as false when I come onto the screen on visible, because by default when user come onto the screen, user should not see the confirmation window. Now when I click on yes, now come back, there it is. Did you notice that it, it just goes out in a flash? Now when I say yes, come back, that is how it will be. Any questions? So when I click on this and say yes, it just deletes that record, because user don't want to navigate, rather user want to delete this time. That is how I can make my confirmation window more interactive and with the dynamic text. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Clear?
No,
Now
sir.
how we can implement a confirmation window? The next topic for today is components or reusable code blocks, or like reusable controls in the in Canvas app. What is reusable control and why do we have to have it? In real-time IT world, users expect the header and footer to be existed on this app as long as they are running the app. What exactly that means is, when you come here, device details, come here, device details, come here, device details, come here, device details. This label is a common label which I notice across my screens, right? And when I look at that, this is control number one, control number two, control number three, control number four. So which means that every screen is getting the same control repeatedly on the app, which is adding number of controls count as 4. Rather, I can create that as a component and refer the component as part of each and every screen as and when I want. Right? That is called component. Example, typical example is when we are creating a program in programming language, we create functions. Why do we need functions? We want to repeat the same set of code block for various operations from various parts of the main program, right? So at line number 7, I want to do addition of two numbers. Again, line 21, I want to do addition of two numbers. Again, line number 41, I want to do addition of two numbers. If I want to avoid the same code as a equal to b plus c or c equal to a plus b multiple times, what I can do is I can create it as a simple function and pass the values to the function, so that function will do my arithmetic operation and sends the result set back to my called portion, called and calling portion. These are the terminology we use in programming language, isn't it, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So, similarly, here also, what I want to do is I want to add a label as a repeated control or a component in Canvas app and use that label into various screens, so that if I want to apply a same color, same styling, same font across my app, all I need to do is go to the component and change there so that it will get replicate across my app. Or else the same label I want to have a one color in screen 1 and another color in screen 2, another color in screen 3, but I want to maintain the same font with different text. That also I can do easily with components. So having said that, what how a component can be created in Canvas apps is go to components, click on new component. This is one approach. Another approach is go to custom, add a new component. Both does the same job. Whether you go to component and click new component, or whether you go to custom and click new component. Both does the same job. Okay, let me go on to new component. See that it took me here. Component will also come up with the standard template like a screen. But here component has a bit of limitations. Limitation number one, you cannot use a local variables in components. I repeat, components doesn't support local variables. I cannot create update context in components. So my notation for component is CMP header. Now, the screen size of this component had to be defined. Remember, students, this is a component. It is not a complete screen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this component height and width to render this heading. Now come here, select the heading. What is the height we have provided is 75. Width is 1366. Ideally, it has to be as app dot width. Right? Now, same thing I'm going to do here in the component. Select the component, go to height, make it as 75, and width has to be what? App dot width. Right? So this one is ready with the height and width. Now I want to set a text to this, also a background color to this. Students, are you able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I need to set a height and sorry, I need to set the background color. I can fill the background color straight away like this, or if I want to give a flexibility to user to change the color of this label depends on the screen, I can also add another thing called property. Components has two properties. One is input property and the other one is output property. How you can add a property is select the component, come on to custom properties, click on new custom property. Here you can define the property, and there are two types of properties. As I said, one is input property and output property. What is input property? Input property is the one you can set the value to define to the component. Output property is one you are sending data back from component to the screen, meaning from I'm sending result from the function to main code block, right? From I'm sending data or the result from the called portion to calling portion. That is exactly what it is. Input and output. I am selecting that as an input. Now here I'll say um, component display name, which is what we could see here. The name I can change it as CMP BG color. This is the property internal notation. This is the one I will see on the screen, which you will see in a minute. And what is the type of the data you are going to? And I can also say the description. This is to set the background color for the heading label on the screen. Now this one, what is the data type? Is it text, number, boolean, date and field, screen type, or you can also mention that as a text, right? Now just create. What did I do? I created a variable or the input property for this. Now this input property needs to be associated to this label. How I can associate that is the background color to is click on the fill. Here I will define as component header dot, see that this is the property name, internal name, cmgbz color, whatever the background color. Remember, always selects the black color as the default color. If you want to change that, you can always change on the screen. How you could change is come onto the screen. Now I want to add that onto the screen. So add a new screen, SCR components. Now I want to add that component on the screen. How I can add a component on the screen is go to custom and select the newly created component. That is a component we created, right? CMP header. Select that. There it is. Now you can change the color you want. See the beauty. I can change like the way I want. I can add the same component multiple times on the same screen. Notice that I am setting my text, sorry, the label color dynamically, isn't it? The same component I have added three times, but I have provided three different fill colors to that label, sorry, to that component, isn't it? Are you guys able to follow me or not? And when I click on the component, it shows all the custom properties I can set. Click on that, it shows you that color also. In fact, if you want to drill down the aperture color of that, you can even do that as 0.5. See that it just mellowed down the color. Any questions? Very important components in Canvas apps to make your app more efficient. Any questions, students? I have created a component, added a custom property to the component, and added that component on the screen and start setting the values or background fill color to that component on the screen with three different values by adding the same component three different times on the screen. Questions before I go on further? No questions, students?
No, no, sir.
No, sir.
You guys able to follow? Very happy. Okay. Go back to, if I want to edit the component directly, you don't know where the component is, go to the component, click on the ellipsis icon and say edit component, which will take you to that component directly. Now what I want to do, I want to add a label on this component, and the label I want to add in such a way that the label height has to be parent.height and the position width is parent.width. so that whatever the width of the component, it will come with that width. 0 is the X position, Y position also 0. Okay, now my label LBL heading component heading. Okay, this one I need to set my color to white. Is that a right approach? No. Add a custom property to the component, say as another property as display name as label heading color, label heading label color, probably this one as heading label LBL color. Again, this one I'll mention as this is to set the label color for heading component, and this is also color, right? Set that. Now, what is the text I have on this label is text, right? For suppose if I add it here on this, see that I have the heading color for this one as say probably yellow. Okay, I did not set that, my bad. Come here. The font color for this is has to be what? CMP heading dot, what is that? Heading label color. Whatever the heading label color I want to set as per the property value. Now if you come here, automatically it's set to label color to this yellow color, whatever the color the user selects. Now this one to probably red, like that. And now everything is good. But if you notice the text, there is no way I can change the text of this label or the component. I should be able to set what I want for this instance, this instance, this instance, and this instance. Which means that I need to provide one more custom property to this component, which is to set the text, whatever the text I want to set it. Now again, edit component. Now this time add one more custom property as label text, heading text. This is to set the heading of the component. And this time, what is my property? Input property, and the text data type is text. Remember, last two times provided the data type as color. This time I'm providing the data type as text. Now, this one, the text property is, what is the text property? Component header dot hg text. Now come back to the screen and now set the text value to, this is instance hyphen 1. There it is. Do you notice that text got changed for the first instance? Now similarly I can change, this is second iteration. There it is. Now, if I want to change the behavior of the font and everything, I can come here. I can just select this as the font size to 18 and this font size to this one. Come back here. There it is. This is how I can create a component and use the same component multiple times. Now, if I come here and just want to replace this heading, I can happily replace this heading to component heading and set the background color to blue and this to white and say as device details. And the reason behind that is, and always component heading hyphen screen one. Now the error message is we are using LVL text as that. There it is. So that way I can just reuse the same component multiple times. This considers as a reference on your screen. It will never consider as a control on your app, which means that I am cutting down the number of controls I am using in my app. Similarly, if you want to increase the font, add one more property as font size. This time I'll just add as a integer heading font size and input type this time is number and say you can see the same thing here. What is the property data type? Come here, font size, again component heading dot heading hg font size. By default integers will set the value to 100, make it to 25 by default. And now if you come here onto this, it automatically increase the size to 25. And if you increase the size to 45, that's how it will come. Now I can use the same thing on each and every screen now. Now I can just add it to the screen also, say like component heading, and just change the background colors to whatever the color you want. Device details in H gallery, horizontal gallery. Device details in H gallery. There it is. And the font size too. Similarly, here also you need to change the component name and change the formula which will set down. There it is. Any questions? Students, any questions?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the homework is implement the confirmation window as a component. We have implemented the confirmation window here, right? As part of this, where is that? This one. Here we have implement the component. Implement this component as a, sorry, implement this confirmation as a component. Okay. I have explained this in my channel as dynamic components in Canvas app. If you guys want to follow that and create the dynamic components. These are all the important topics. If you create a good looking or more user friendly custom canvas apps for your user. If you want to enhance the user experience, you must create your components to ensure that you are not doing the same controls repeatedly. For the heading, I used only one label control, but look at the confirmation window, how many controls I am using. I am using almost 8 controls to implement one confirmation window. Imagine that I need to implement that kind of a confirmation window or confirmation pop-up 4 times in my app, which means that 4 sevens are 28 controls I'm adding onto my app for no reason. Whereas I can create the same confirmation pop-up as a component so that I can I can create sorry I can use the same component with different context and different text, different confirmation messages on my app so that user don't have to what you call waste their time if they want to change the background color or change the font style or change font size, anything I can user can change onto the respective screen rather than opening and changing the what you call changing the code directly on each and every screen. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. With that, I'm closing class today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach me. But I expect everyone to do the homework so that you will get practice to it. The next class, we are going to learn very important topic called Dataverse for Canva Power Apps. Okay, what is a Dataverse? How to create tables in Dataverse? What are the various relations I can create Dataverse? What is the significance of Dataverse? Why do we need to use Dataverse? Why not only a SharePoint? What are the limitations with SharePoint? And what are the advantages I'm going to get in Dataverse? This is the topic we are going to learn in the next class. Before this, we will learn one more very important topic in Canvas app is delegation. What is a delegation? What happens if I see a delegation issue in my Canvas app? How to address those delegation issues and what are the workarounds for some of the delegation issues we encounter in Canvas app? Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Are we all ready for the next class to
Yes, sir.
learn the important topics?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Go ahead and complete your homework for the next class. We will learn the data hours.